Good morning, everybody. A little stretch. Get ready for the show. Sam here, United People's TV. Welcome aboard. It's Thursday. We've got our final Europa League game tonight against Steaua Bucharest. I'm going to be running through the starting 11 live later in the show because it's been so busy with the Dorgu stuff, with Aiden Heaven. I haven't had space and time this week to be able to do a starting 11 as a standalone video, so we'll do it later in the show as a community. It could be quite fun, actually. Maybe we'll make it a regular thing. We're also going to run through the latest on Matias Tel. Bayern Munich have confirmed that he wants to leave. David Ornstein has confirmed that we want to sign him. Well, we're interested in signing him. I'm going to run through the absolute latest on him. We'll also speak about a little conversation we're going to have today about Chido Obi-Martin. And I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to be doing an update video on him next week. We'll also speak about Rashford and Amorim's sort of just complete truth on Rashford. I'll tell you what, he must be bored of speaking about him. And I'll tell you what, we'll run through everything he said there. The preview for the game, your predictions, all that jazz. It'll always be a busy show here on United People's TV. And what is kind of turning into a bit of a frantic end to the January transfer window. I think largely because United have been waiting to figure out what's happening with the Rashford situation. Let's find out. Let's see who's here from the mod and the member gang, and then let's get into the show. Good morning to you, Toby, for gifting 5 memberships. What a wonderful start. What a wonderful day. Good morning to you, Ant. How you doing? Carl and Stephanie, you're there as well. Good morning to Volpez, Natasha, the real C, Lara Wilson. We've got Joshua Sutton, Jason McCarthy, Ben Jordan, DJM, hype. Vince, and we've got Marky, DJ Marky. Is it Barcelona? I used to love DJ Marky. I love drum bass. That's my genre. Right. Can we just quickly talk about this to kick off the show? I've got to go full screen here because there's so many bloody games. You won't be able to fit them all in. What did you think of the Champions League medley? I don't know what you're going to call it. 18 games last night. The fun part about it was the Aka, which definitely died after about half time, I think. It was Sporting and Bologna that kind of ruined me. But the concept of this is simple. UEFA want football to be Netflix. UEFA want the cinema of the drama, and it doesn't really exist. Like, there was absolutely no drama with City. Oh, City have lost how many games in this group stage? Don't worry. I think it can still go through by beating Bruges. Yeah, some of it was entertaining, but I don't think it created the trepidation that it was supposed to create. That will kind of be my opinion on it. But it's not going to go back. Jonathan, you got 9 out of 10 on your rack at Leipzig. Oh, it's always a zinger when you get one. You'd rather lose by 3 or 4 on an Aka than 1. These are the rules. Now, can somebody please help me here so I understand this properly? This is the bracket now for the knockouts, and I imagine it will be similar. Like if United, touch wood, somehow lose tonight and don't finish in the top 8, I think we go into a similar one for the Europa League. Does this mean that sort of, take this one for example, let's zoom in up here. Does this mean that there's one game between Monaco and Brest, who are both French, by the way? So you can play a team from your own country. It's all about seeding now, not countries. So it's Monaco and Brest. The winner of that will play the winner of PSG and Benfica as one game. And then there's one game between that. And then the winner of that versus the winner of that, they play here. And the winner of that goes through as the knockout playoff winner. Is that right? So the knockout playoffs are actually 2 single-legged games rather than a double-leg tie? Have I understood that right? I'm scratching my head because I'm a bit confused. Yeah, Liverpool did lose last night. I put it down as a draw. Nearly got that right. Shame. But I think that's right. Right, okay, yeah. So you're telling me that's right. Okay, cool. At least I've sort of semi-understood that then. I really hope. Oh no, draw tomorrow. That's why the 2 French teams. I'm confused. This is the thing. I'm confused. So everyone's saying 2 legs. All right, I don't understand it. Right, from that playoff bracket, I don't understand what's going on. The reason they've done it is to create more games, number one, and to create the idea that more teams can have trepidation, but in reality, it's just a bit complicated. Finish top of your group, you go through. Finish second in your group, you'll go through, but you'll play someone who finished first in the other group. Simple, right? Let's move on. Someone said there's a draw tomorrow to see which one you play. Okay, so it's 2 against 1. So, right, okay. So there's another draw coming, which will decide that. So it's 2 legs against 1 team. Thank you. Right. So I slightly understand that now. Either way. Speaking of, what are you doing, John Duran? I mean, I know what you're doing. You're chasing that bag, but really? John Duran to Al Nassr, 77 million euros. Wah, wee wah. That's a lot of dough. Now, John Duran, he's a really exciting player. Massively exciting. But, yeah, 77 million euros. That's why Villa are selling him. And I can't remember what player. Can anybody remember? I think it was a Spanish midfielder. Was it Vega? I can't remember. There was somebody who moved to Saudi, I think he was 23, maybe last year, the year before. Might have been last year. And it seems like an odd one. Like, people are looking at Ronaldo going there and going, well, okay, well, you're getting the big payday towards the end. You're looking at Neymar, you're looking at lots of players like that, and you go, well, you know exactly what they're doing. But then you see players like, yeah, there you go. So people are great. It's Gabri Vega. I thought I was right. And then you got John Duran, who's 21. And you're like, I understand. And if the situation ever was presented to me, can I, hand on heart, say that I would completely turn down the opportunity? No, I would probably consider it. But it's just a shame, isn't it? Like, the money that they are offering is not. But it is what it is. It's not going away anytime soon. And John Duran's gone from Villa to Al Nassr. And on top of that, man, Villa fans must be pissed. Someone's mentioning Oscar to the Chinese Super League. You know, Oscar stayed there. He's only just left. You know how the Chinese Super League, came and went? I think they signed Hulk. They signed loads of players. What's the name of the Colombian dude? Can't remember. Yeah, they signed a Colombian as well. Well, they signed loads. But Oscar stayed there until last year, and he left. He was in tears when he left. I think he actually settled. I think I'd love to know a story of how Oscar got on there. But then on top of Al Nassr coming in for John Duran, big money, huge wages, and it's really is a shame that he is leaving at the age of 21. Now, I know Fellaini went there. Was it Carrasco? James Rodriguez, there's another one. There's another, powerful player like Hulk. Is it Jackson Martinez? It might be Jackson Martinez. I think you're right, Marky. Thank you very much. I think it's Jackson Martinez. Anyway, yesterday, on top of John Duran going to Al Nassr, Villa then, and Arsenal come in with around about 60 million bid for Ollie Watkins, which there's going to be people that sort of laugh at that. And I look at this and say, well, that's actually some genuine ambition there from Arsenal. They know that they're in a position. They're probably not going to get closer to winning the league than they are now. It's probably a little bit too late. They should have spent 60 million on Ollie Watkins instead of 60 million on Kai Havertz. But the fact that they're going for somebody who is a ready-made Premier League proven goal scorer to come in right now and immediately change the second half of the season is kind of fair play. They're not going to get him, though, because John Duran has just left. It kind of leaves Arsenal between a rock and a hard place. Such a shame. Such a shame. And then on top of the sort of the striker merry-go-round, you've got Bayer Leverkusen, who are moving in on a deal for Evan Ferguson. But linking that back to this and John Duran going to Al Nassr, Victor Boniface was supposed to be leaving Bayer Leverkusen to go to Al Nassr. They agreed a deal and then agreed another deal with John Duran, turned their back on Victor Boniface, and he's now staying right now at Bayer Leverkusen. So I don't really know what's going on with Evan Ferguson going to Leverkusen, which would be a great move for him, by the way. working with that team, working with Xabi Alonso. It's a perfect way to sort of restart his career. So let's see what goes on with Victor Boniface. Let's see what goes on with Evan Ferguson. Striker movement galore. And of course, I'm going to be speaking about Mathys Tel very, very shortly. Now, can I just quickly say thank you to everybody for the comments that you left on the video yesterday. It was a video that I've been thinking about doing a video like that on Maguire for some time, but I wanted to get more evidence and more time to elapse. And I thought he deserved that video. So I released it. And judging by the comments, judging by the reaction, I think a lot of United fans feel in a similar way about Maguire. This isn't a video that says, I'm totally wrong and I was never right to criticise Maguire. Oh, he should be a captain of Manchester United now. He's incredible. He should stay forever. It's not even slightly what the video is about. Of course, some people will take it that way. The video is about what that says there. Like, you just give him credit. Credit where credit is due. And that's what that video was. Sort of going back on all the stuff I've said previously and just going through kind of what he's shown. And it's at a time when we're questioning so many players' mental fragility at this football club. Like, he's now an example here. Well, you can do it. You can come through it if you focus in the right way. It's a fair play to him. And again, Robert, it's not about eating humble pie. It's not at all. I've still stand by the criticism that I gave him. However, he's come through it and he's more of a leader now without the armband than he ever was as a captain. He's more of a captain now than when he was a captain. Because he's found he's found the right place for himself. It's a fair play. I think he deserved that 1-year contract extension. I think Maguire will be here this season. I think Maguire will be here next season. And then we'll replace him. And we'll say thank you very much. But for somebody who I never wanted to be in the team, to somebody who I now consider one of our more reliable defenders, fair play. Saw someone in the comments saying, oh, is it on Discord, saying, oh, this, and make him a captain. It's like, but let's not go down that path again. Let's not go down that path again. Prince saying, let Arsenal go for the rejected Boniface. They might do, actually. They may well do. Now, let's move on to the main story of today's show. And what is probably going to be the main story, really, for United in the rest of this transfer window. Well, when it comes to a potential signing, right? We need an attacker. We've needed an attacker since the start of the window, and we needed a left wing-back since the start of the window. We've got Dorgu. And by the way, today is supposed to be when Dorgu has his medical at United. So maybe you'll expect some sort of photos to come out of him going into Carrington. Not quite sure. And at lunchtime today, we're going to be dropping our proper transfer profile on Dorgu. Sort of why United fans are allowed to be excited about his signing. The key areas of his game to watch out for straight away, where he can improve United. The areas that he's going to need to develop. And just a bit more background information on Dorgu. So by the time you watch him as a United fan and as a United player, well, as a United fan, you'll understand a bit more of his game. That's going to be going out at lunchtime today. But Matias Tel is a really interesting one. This one sort of exploded in the last, 48 hours? Let me run through what happened. Yesterday, there was a lot of whispers and murmurs for United fans when they saw this. Paul O'Keefe is somebody who's considered an extremely reliable source when it comes to news out of Spurs. He was asked about Mathys Tel, whether Spurs are going to be interested. He goes, look, he wants to join United. Right, let's see how Bayern play with that. And that was followed up by this yesterday. Could have done a video on this yesterday afternoon, but it feels like content overload right now. So I think the conversation is fine to have this morning. David Ornstein confirming here that Manchester United are interested in signing Mathys Tel if Bayern Munich sanction a loan departure before the deadline. We're not progressing with the move just yet. And we're prioritising exits, as we know that is the case. But United are in talks with his agents, his representatives. We are trying to figure out if he wants to join. Well, it's not if he wants to join, if Bayern are prepared for him to join on loan. And then you've got Fabrizio Romano, who followed it up, saying United and Spurs are among 7 clubs calling for Mathys Tel in the last 24 hours. More opportunities on the table because he wants to leave. Following on from that, we saw this last night, right? This is Matias Tel after the Bayern Munich game last night, just sort of saying bye to the fans. Throwing some stuff up into the crowd, some handshakes. He wants to leave. And we got confirmation from Bayern Munich directly. Matias Tel wants to leave, so we will assess all the options and decide what to do, and I can understand him. It's effectively a transfer request, isn't it? I mean, I probably could have put that as a headline, really, if I wanted to. Matias Tel was told by Munich that he wants to leave. Kind of found it interesting that he started last night. Given that he's already told them, given that he hadn't played a minute in the last 3 games, kind of felt like a Hail Mary from them to say, oh, look, no, we do love you. Here you go. Start a game. But there are loads of clubs in for him. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to do 2 polls in the show today. Number 1, do you think Tel will join United? Right? Because it will have to be on loan. Yes or no? Let me see what the consensus is among people. But there are a lot, and I think this is probably the most important thing to understand about this. Spurs want him, and they're interested in signing him on a permanent deal. Chelsea want him, and they're interested in signing him on a permanent deal. So I think when it comes to Matias Tel, the question will be, do Bayern Munich want to sell Matias Tel in January on a permanent deal? Or do they want to loan him out and then bring him back in the summer and then reassess? That's going to be probably the most important question right now that will define where Tel might end up. Because if they just want to loan him out and they want to bring him back to the club, then United is the best place for him. If they want to sell him, then probably Chelsea or Spurs, given the fact that both of those clubs are going to be looking potentially for a permanent deal. I've seen someone down there, Jason, you're saying loan and an obligation for us, and I can only speak from my personal opinion here. I don't want United to have any obligation to sign anybody in January. If we were to get Matias Tel, I would want a loan with an option. Yeah, okay, right. He can join United on loan for 6 months, and then if we agree, then let's say we put a third. I don't know what you do. Probably quite a lot actually for Matias Tel. He's 19. He's already established himself, but not completely. But he's got years of growth and development ahead of him, and he's a good player who can, in the right environment, become a great player. I think very versatile forward, can play on the left, play through the middle. But I wouldn't want United to have an obligation to sign him. I just don't think that United can afford to take the risk of signing anybody in January with an obligation or on a permanent deal because, ladies and gents, in the summer, we are going to be going after Victor Gyökeres, all right? Or the conversation is going to be right there. And I think there will be talks about whether Rasmus Højlund has a future, whether Joshua Zirkzee has a future. How can it not be? Every single attacker that we have got has a questionable future at our club, considering we can't score goals for toffee. That's just a given. Like, you can remove your personal emotions towards any player and just say, United are crap at scoring goals, and we have been for a long time. So how can I say that any attacker just deserves to stay? It's not the case. All of their futures are questionable. And I just feel that if United were to sign Tel on a Asen Kunku, sign Tel on either a permanent deal, never going to happen. Also, with an obligation, I don't think that's the right thing either. I'm going to go and see what you're saying in the comments here. Checking the poll out straight away. We've got 600 votes in. 66% of you think that Tel will join United on loan. That's interesting. I'll let that go for a few more minutes. Isaiah, you're saying Tel would be a good addition to United. I don't disagree. I've already said of all the attackers that we've been linked with in January, I think he's the one that I would be the most excited about. Akash, you're saying, can someone please tell me why we are in for another teenager? Highly rate Tel, but we badly need experience. And Alex, Akash, I don't disagree with you. But again, I've said this quite a few times. If you are correct, what attacker are you bringing in? Find me somebody who's available in this market on loan, who's experienced, who would bring something to the table that Tel wouldn't in terms of a goal threat, and that's just a better option. And I don't mean that to sort of dig you out, but I imagine United have already looked at that market quite a lot. Previously, we had Igalo. Previously, we had Weghorst. Who else would it be without paying like a loan fee for someone? I just don't think that player right now exists. Rex, you're saying beggars can't be choosers, but he hasn't scored a goal this season. How will coming from a team like Bayern to United be any easier? And no one's saying it will be any easier. But this is an important factor in all of this as well, actually. In terms of what Tel wants, my arse is killing me. I don't know why. He wants to play football regularly. That's why he's leaving Bayern. So he's not going to join a club where he's just going to sit on the bench somewhere else. That's kind of pointless. Again, why United may well be a place that he would actually prefer and want. Would I take Wout Weghorst back on loan? Probably would. I'm joking. Or am I? I think I am. Someone gifted 5 memberships down there. Who is that? Where's it gone? Oh, no. I don't think someone did. Sorry. My bad. Right. Let me see what else you're saying. They could go for any striker coming to the Premier League. Just because they are available does not mean you should just pack them and bring them here, says Emmanuel. I mean, you can semi-agree with that. Akash, kind of a fair point there. He's saying we can at least try for Jonathan David, but if you were to try for Jonathan David, you'd have to pay for it. There ain't no way that Jonathan David is leaving there 6 months before his contract ends on loan. For Jonathan David, you would have to buy him. And I don't think, I know United don't have the money right now. Boy, you're saying United will waste the remaining days on links with Tel. We've seen this movie before. If the lad wants playing time, is he coming to bench Rasmus or Joshua Zirkzee? I mean, the clear answer to that is yes. Right now, Højlund isn't warranting a guaranteed starting 11 spot. Neither is Zirkzee. The position is up for grabs. Now, of course, if Tel was to come in, he's not really a centre forward, is he? He's not really going to be that person who comes in and holds that ball up, which has been a big frustration of us. Watching United in the last few weeks, it feels like every time we try to play some form of direct ball to negate the press, it's just kind of come back. I do think that Patrick Dorgu is going to help in that sense. Because if you've got Dorgu pushing up on the left-hand side, it should mean that we've got a different outlet and target for those balls out from Onana. So instead of going central towards a striker, if we can go a little bit left towards where Dorgu is, he'll be able to win those balls significantly better than Højlund has. That's just a little point. But Ted is an interesting one. It really is. I think so. 900 votes in the first 7 minutes. Big up to everyone. And 66% of you are saying there that Tel will join United on loan. That's your prediction. And you're talking about this lad and whether he's better in terms of experience. But yeah, okay, well, let's get into that conversation and then watch all the comments talk about how his injury record means that we shouldn't sign him. And then you step back and you go to test what I mean. 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. United will not find an attacker to sign on loan in January with no money in the coffers, which ticks all the boxes. Whoever we sign, whether it's Nkunku or whether it's Tel or whether it's someone else, It's going to be somebody that ticks a couple of boxes, probably doesn't tick other boxes. That's who it is. Patrick Dorgu, very different. We've invested in him, and I think he kind of ticks just a lot of boxes. I think so anyway. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comment. Right, there's another little update here from Fabrizio on Mathys Tel. This is what he said. It's an update from Bayern Munich's director. He's saying that a loan but also a permanent move are both options for Tel, as reported yesterday. Bayern director is saying Tel wants to go a loan or permanent. We will assess the options. I've rarely had so many clubs call me about a player before. Massively in demand. He's going to be moving somewhere. He wants to leave Bayern Munich. United, as David Ornstein has said, right? We've made the call. We've started. DJM there with an easy solution. Get Lewandowski on loan, swap for Rashford. Easy. I wish that someone had mentioned that before. I hope United just pick up the phone. Matt, their courses at Ajax, doesn't always play. Think he wants to come for half of the season and go back to Ajax. Old Veggie coming in, getting a couple of goals. Knee slide, almost crying in front of the Stretford end. Do you remember his celebration? Was it after the League Cup final? He had the time of his life, man. I think that game is easily the game that I have enjoyed the most as a United fan in just a long time. That whole day, being with all the lads that we did the podcast with, going to the pub, decent weather. It was a League Cup final, full build up to the day, cracking seats, winning, beating Newcastle, making them just pipe down. Yeah, I loved that day. That day I probably got sucked into the feeling of genuine optimism, and it wasn't a false dawn. Right. But Tel, he's definitely an option. And Nkunku, it's kind of all gone a bit quiet because the Garnacho stuff has kind of gone a bit quiet, isn't it? Which I'm happy about. I won't complain about that. Casemiro's still quiet. There's nothing really going on with. I'd now be surprised if at the last knock-ins, a Saudi club came in for Casemiro, paid all the wages that they wanted, that he wants, done and dusted, and we sell him. I'd be surprised at this point. Be like, well, why wouldn't it have just happened earlier in the window? I don't know. Maybe Saudi clubs are looking to where to spend their money. I don't know. Roma have been linked with Casemiro as well. I'd be surprised if Casemiro isn't a United player. So I think we're just going to be sitting watching Casemiro be on the fringes for the next few months, and then he'll go in the summer. Although I imagine the summer we have the same sort of problems. I don't really see how the problems with Casemiro change in the summer. There's quite a few of you in the comments mentioning this lad, and I think it's worth having a conversation. All right. I watched some of the game last night because there was about 18 other games of football happening. But United under-21s played Oldham and they spanked them. I think it was in the Premier League Cup. Beat them 5-0. Obi-Martin grabbed himself a goal. I think that was the first 90-minute performance from Sekou Kone. So he's starting to settle in. Remember, he joined he's been existing in the shadows, and that's exactly what he should do in his first season. But Obi-Martin, I think that when we signed him from Arsenal, I knew he was going to be a goal scorer. Of course, he literally just broke the records for scoring goals at under-18s levels. What I'm going to do next week, and I've already done one of these for Sekou Kone, and I'll do one now for Chido Obi-Martin. I'm going to give you a full update video of how his season has gone so far. How he's been playing with the under-18s, into the under-21s, any development flashpoints, any questions, any concerns. Sort of bring you up to date into how his season has gone so far. But just as an overall point here, I'm surprised how well-rounded his game is. I thought Chido Obi-Martin was going to come in, be a lethal goal scorer, but be a little bit like Erling Haaland, where you just kind of operate, you stand on the edge of the box, you wait for all your team to do the work, and then you just bang, you just finish it. He's actually got a bit more than that. He's much better at ball carrying than I thought he was going to be. He's better at link-up play than I thought he was going to be. He's getting some assists too. I've been impressed, okay? So I'll do an update video. Do I think... Type yes or no in the comments, all right? Do you think Chido Obi-Martin will make his United senior debut before the end of the season? Type yes or no. Tyler's saying it wouldn't surprise me if Obi-Martin is in the squad for tonight. Well, it will surprise me considering United announced their travelling squad and he wasn't in it. So unless he's got himself a little cheeky private plane, then no, I don't think so. But he is 18, of course. If you're old enough, if you're good enough, you're old enough is what lots of people are going to say. Robert, yeah, he's got a lot more pace than I thought he had as well. There's a massively split. I can see so many people firing in comments, and maybe I should have done this as a poll, but it's quite interesting to see it when everyone puts their comments in. I put that down as probably about 60-40 saying yes. 60-40, roughly, thereabouts. I think it's a possibility. I don't think it should be yet, and I'm not saying it is. And again, this is a big thing for me. Putting him in the first team environment now would not be because Chido Obi-Martin is ready. It's because the first team is desperate and we need someone. That is not the right time to introduce a youngster into the first team environment. You bring a first team player in. Of course, the pathway has to be there, which is obvious. The pathway is there. But the player has to be ready. It has to be the right time for him. Because first impressions, they're not everything, but first impressions make a big, big difference to any youngster coming through. If Kokonki was thrown into the deep end away at Arsenal and had a bad performance, so many United fans, you'd write him off. No, he's obviously not ready. He's going to have to go out on loan for at least a year before he comes back and gets another opportunity. And the same thing will go with Chido Obi-Martin if you bring him into a team right now which can't score for toffee and he can't score. You'd be expecting an 18-year-old to come in on his debut and just score straight away for United. I think there's maybe it depends on how we fare in the FA Cup. Realistically, and this is a really crap thing to admit, it might be the Premier League where there's the least pressure on Chido Obi-Martin. Because the most important thing for United now between now and the end of the season is the Europa League. We are so far down in the league, we're not going to get top four. We're just going to finish somewhere in mid-table. And that's kind of set in stone now, really. So maybe league games are going to be where he gets the opportunity. Don't know. Let's find out. He doesn't have to start the big games near the end of the season. We'll find out. Hey, look, and I'm not saying that the timing has to be right. For me, it doesn't feel like the timing is right, okay? And let's move on to this. This is an important... I hope the last time, but it's not going to be the last time, is it? Jonathan, the reason Van Gaal did it with Rashford is because Martial pulled up with an injury in the Midtjylland game and Rashford was given the opportunity. We literally had nobody else. Right now, we've got two out-of-form strikers in Højlund and Xerxes who are both available for selection. And we're looking potentially at bringing in Tel. Is Chido Obi-Martin not 18 yet? Did we sign him as a 16-year-old? Chido Obi-Martin. Who am I kidding? We did. So I don't know why I've got that completely wrong. Jeez. Chido Obi-Martin only turned 17 in November. He's nowhere near 18. So thank you for pointing that out to me. So again, that might give you a little bit more of a clarity of how old he actually is and where he is in his development. Let's find out. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets maybe even just a match day squad appearance. We'll see. But this Rashford situation. Like, nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed. And Amorim still keeps being asked the same thing. And I'm so glad he said this, because I've been reiterating it. But just listen to this from Ruben Amorim. He said this yesterday on the Rashford situation.
We are a better team with Marcus Rashford. And that is clear. He's a big talent. But until the right moment, I will not change my mind. That's all. And it's always the same answer. You can look at our team and imagine the profile of the players, you know. Now imagine a talent like Rashford. Our team should be so much better with Rashford. But this Rashford, he has to change. If he change, we are more than welcome to put a talent like Rashford. And we need it. So, but in this moment, I think it's really clear that we have to set some standards. That's all. We are waiting for Marcus if he wants really, really bad. That's the only thing. So it's you try to make like something personally. It's not personal. I have nothing against Marcus. I just have to make the same rules for everybody. And that.
It's so simple. Marcus Rashford is not training properly. He has therefore been left out of the squad by his manager. When he trains properly, he can come back into the squad. But it's up to Rashford. I've said this multiple times that it's not personal. It's obviously not personal. And people are trying to make it out. And I tell you what, right? If you, like, just in your own personal lives, if you get asked a question once, you answer it. You get asked a question twice, you're like, I've already answered that, but right, I'll answer it again. You get asked the question the third time, you're like, all right, and you get asked a question a fourth time, you go, well, actually, no, you're starting to take the piss now. And then a fifth time, and then a sixth time, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. You're going to progressively just get kind of more pissed off, a little bit, just a little smidge every single time, more pissed off at saying the same thing you've already said 9 times before. It would annoy you, wouldn't it? Whether it's internally seething or not seething, but you're just going to progressively get like, what else can I say? I've already answered the question. And people are like, I wonder what Rasmus is doing in training. Rasmus clearly is putting in the yards in training. It's not converting to the pitch. That's a problem. That needs to be figured out. But it's not because he's turning up in training and dragging his heels. Rashford isn't doing enough in training. It's so simple. And this is exactly what I kept saying. If Rashford does stay at United and Rio Ferdinand's like, oh, the door is completely closed, there's no way back in. It's such a lie. There is definitely a way back in, and it will depend on whether Rashford wants to put the application to it. Amorim says United are a better squad with Rashford in. We are. But it has to be a Rashford that gives everything. And if he doesn't, I'm going to have to leave him on the sidelines. I'm trying to set standards at a football club which is 12th, 13th, 14th in the Premier League, that hasn't won the league in 10 years, that is still one of the biggest 3 clubs in the world. And you expect me not to come in and set standards because it might piss a player off. Like, fuck's sake, man. So what do you want? And by the way, can I just quickly say this? Any of you, I can see it, quite a few of you. Oh, how old is Lamine Yamal? He's 17. Yeah, he's an absolute unicorn. The dude's already won the Euros. The dude's like the best. That incredible, particularly rare player is 17. Therefore, every 17-year-old can come through. What logic is that? And Nicola's saying, would Marcus dare behave like this if Fergie was a manager? Oh, no. He would be gone faster than the wind. It's the environment has allowed self-indulgent attitudes. That's the cultural switch that United have to get rid of. Chido can be that unicorn, blah, 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 blah. Yes, he can. But yeah, thank you very much, The Observer. Lamine Yamal is a complete outlier. He's an anomaly. You've got a graph and a chart, and you've got one bloke called Lamine Yamal who's just... It doesn't mean that everybody now has to go there. He goes, well, that's like a complete outlier. Wow, that kid is special. It's not to say that Chido Obi-Martin can't come through, but to use that as the logic as to why he should be getting his chance now is just, it doesn't make any sense at all. In the slightest. Right, let's move on and let's speak about the game tonight because we are doing a live start 11. Normally do this in a separate video, but we just haven't had time this week. It's just been too busy. FCSB. Simply put, United need to win. Need is the wrong word. We needed to beat Rangers last week. And we beat Rangers last week, which puts us in a good position. Ideally, we beat FCSB tonight because if we do that, it makes such a difference. Our February fixtures look so good from a training perspective, and it's something that Amorim has been desperate for. If we look at the two best performances consistently back-to-back that we've had under Amorim as a team, you're looking at Liverpool and Arsenal, where we had a game in the build-up to each. Well, a week in the build-up to each game. If we beat FCSB in February, I think there'll be 3 weeks in a row where we've only got weekend games. Right, I'll quickly look at that one more time. I've already looked at this before, but I'll just confirm it. I'll show you what the fixtures are. There you go. So in February, we'll play on Sunday the 2nd, if nothing else comes in. Sunday the 2nd, we'll have a little bit less than a full week, only because we got the Friday game in the FA Cup. 5 days between Palace and then Leicester. And then 9 days between Leicester and and then Spurs in the Premier League. 9 days. After that, a full 6 days until the Everton game. So between the 2nd and the 22nd of Feb, only 4 games, which will be the smallest amount of fixtures that Amorim has had. And he is absolutely desperate for it. So he's going to want the players to do their job tonight. That's what tonight has to be. Okay, get the job done professionally. Job. What is it? Yeah, let me have a quick look at this as well. Can United finish in the top 8 if we draw? I think there's a possibility, but I think it depends on other results, right? I mean, there's definitely a possibility we finish in the top 8 if we draw. What's the actual games tonight? Let's have a quick look. Matches. Oh, lordy lord. Loaded load. Fixtures and results. Right, let's quickly look at the table. Right, so that's the games. Let me pull up the table as well. See which fixtures we need to look at most. Well, we're just like out of interest. Table. Right. So, here we go. This is the table. United are sitting there in 4th place and 15th. So we are 2 points inside the top 8. Okay. We're looking at Galatasaray and Bodo Glimt as the 2 biggest challengers. Who are both of those playing? Galatasaray are away at Ajax. Interesting one. Can Ajax still go through? They're just on the edge of being seeded or unseeded. So they're going to qualify, but it depends whether they're seeded. Who have Bodo Glimt got? Bodo Glimt, they're away at Nice. I'm pretty sure Nice are the worst team in the whole competition, aren't they? Second worst. Dinamo Kiev is worse than that. United should be going through in the top 8. You might even go through in the top 8 with a draw if you're lucky. But either way, just win against FCSB and get the job done. Right? Get the job done. Now, in terms of the team that's travelled, here is the squad. Bayindir, Heaton, Onana. In fact, everybody is there as you thought they would be. Luke Shaw's not there and Marcus Rashford's not there. There's no surprise of either of those. Luke Shaw was back in training with the players, I think, for the first time yesterday. And Marcus Rashford's not involved, and he won't be involved until something changes. So there's no real surprises there. I want to quickly say here, no doubt he'll be important tonight. No doubt he'll be important in every single game he plays for us. It's been 5 years since Bruno joined. almost feels like I got to do a video on that, really. I don't like doing videos too often with the United People's Productions ones. I don't like doing them too player-focused because with the pendulums and swings of our football club, you just can't understand where fan sentiment will be on a week-by-week basis. So it kind of makes it difficult. I want to do something on Bruno at some point this season. 5 years. Love the guy, man. No doubt he'll be important tonight. He'll probably play deeper, as he's been playing before. I thought this was an interesting sort of... Not too interesting, I suppose. But Lenny Yoro was with Ruben Amorim yesterday in the press conference. He was speaking to TNT as well about his start at United. And of course, it's been massively disjointed because of the injuries, right? I don't think we've seen anywhere near the max potential of Lenny Yoro yet. I think he's going to, as the season progresses, I think Yoro will get better and better and better. He's had some bad game. I can't remember what game it was. Southampton? Was it Southampton when Suleimana turned him inside out? Would have learned from that. Luckily, Ahmad got the hat-trick, so it didn't actually matter too much. But let's run through the starting 11. Now, fire it in the comments. This is the team that beat Fulham 1-0. What changes would you like to see? What would I like to see? I would like to see this. I mean, typically when you get a player who's sat alongside the manager, they start the game. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but kind of typically it happens. So I think I'd like to see that. I'm fine with Maguire staying. It will either be Maguire or De Ligt as the central centre-back. It could be one of those two. I think De Ligt went off in the last game. Let's find out. I think Yoro should be starting this game. I can see a few of you saying this, and I'd agree with you. It kind of feels like... It feels like because Bayern did so well in the Arsenal game, it kind of feels like Bayern might be our cup goalkeeper for the rest of the season. And that won't necessarily be a bad thing. So Bayern going in goal, I would agree with you and down there. So they're probably the two changes I would make. I'll keep Martinez left centre-back. He's starting to look really good, right? Maguire, fine you being there, and Yoro. Who would you play as the two wing-backs? Right? Get your wing-back choices down in the comments. Delo and Mazraoui, heh. I mean, if they start tonight as wing-backs, I like to think that this is the last game that we're... Actually, no, you might see it against Crystal Palace as well. But let's focus on the wing-backs for now, and then we'll move on to central midfield. What's the options? You could bring Ahmad deeper to play one of these two roles. You could play Malacia out wide, but I think we're looking to loan him, so probably not. I think you need this. I think you need Ahmad there. So I suppose the question mark is who plays left back? Delo or Mazraoui? Some people, Delo or Mazraoui or Malacia. In fact, let's just do a quick poll, right? We'll do a poll for 1 minute and see who wins. Left wing back. It's quite fun. Malacia, Delo or Mazraoui. They're your three options for left wing back. Leave that poll up for a minute, and then we'll change. I think you're going to say probably Mazraoui. I don't know. Mazraoui is so much better as like a wide centre back than he is as a wing back, isn't he? Do you not think? Well, I think so anyway. There, you're saying Ahmad's going to be resting tonight. He'll come in at about 70 minutes. Possibly. We have got Crystal Palace on Sunday, I think. What is the kickoff time this weekend? Is it 2 p.m. on Sunday? I just made that up. It is 2 p.m. on Sunday. So we've got a game at 8 p.m. on Thursday in Romania. And then... Luckily, it's at home against Crystal Palace, but there's not much turnaround between these two games. Right, let's have a look. We've got Well, 35% of you, he's just one, but you put Mathys down as the left wing back. Right, okay, Mathys in then. That means you've got Mazraoui and Dalot both on the bench, and if that is the case, maybe it is the fact that you'll get Ahmad having some rest and you'll get Dalot or Mazraoui playing as right wing back. So Mathys has just about snuck that. And I think you're probably doing that because you want the natural left-footed player on that left-hand side. Bit of a sort of an inkling as to what we're going to get when this lad comes through. But what about the central midfield pairing? I think a lot of you are going to want Toby Collier to start this game. So let me just put this down and see what you think. What do you think about that? We'll speak about Højlund or Xerxes. It's kind of like, who do you want? What do you think about that? Collier playing with Ugarte hasn't happened yet, has it? I don't think. I think Collier's come in for Ugarte. But if you're kind of like away from home in Europe, there is a different approach to. I always remember this, like Fergie with the 4-5-1, Rooney up top on his own. There is a different way to play away from home in Europe. Take off, you're saying it's too defensive, but that's kind of exactly what it would be away from home in Europe. Staying as solid as possible and just basically hitting on the counter. Steaua Bucharest, they do play with quite an aggressive formation. They do play with real width and wingers, so they're going to create spaces. Ross, you're saying Collier and Bruno, rest Ugarte. Someone's saying Mainu for Garnacho, Xerxes by a mile. Well, that's next. We'll move on to that next. Ugarte and Ericsson. My prediction? That's it. Oh, no. No. I think it's that. This is my prediction, by the way. This isn't necessarily just exactly what you want. You voted in Mathys as left wing back, but I think he's going to play Bruno slightly deeper. I think Ruben Amorim kind of looks towards Bruno Fernandes to try and control some form of tempo. I think he feels he does it better than other players. So that's why I put Bruno there. But you may well get Ugarte getting a rest and Collier starting alongside him. That could well happen. And especially considering we do have Crystal Palace on Sunday at 2 p.m. Nathan, I agree with you that Bruno, there's so much of Bruno's best qualities that don't exist deeper on the pitch. I think so anyway. Now, this could be an interesting one. Right. Ericsson started there. Who was it against? It wasn't Fulham. It was a game before. Who was before Fulham? Rangers? I think it was Rangers. Ericsson started as the one of the number 10s. Someone's saying down there, surely the pace will be slow enough for Ericsson. I actually think it's going to be quite a fast pace. Rarely do you really get games with slow pace. It's either Ericsson, but I really want to see it. I don't think it. Why do you think? I don't know. What's your take on Mainu's position? Like, I know that quite a few of you feel that his best position isn't deeper as part of the midfield too. But if Ericsson's going to work there in the number 10 role, then I just look at Mainu and I think, well, Mainu's got so much of the qualities that Ericsson has in those tight spaces, intricate passing. So surely you could play Mainu there. I'd love to see him start there. By the way, I agree with all the comments down there. We don't really need to have a conversation about this right now. I think you're starting Xerxes as a centre forward. But Mainu and Garnacho behind Xerxes. I mean, you have to keep trying. You have to keep switching. You have to keep changing. We're poop in attack right now. Absolutely garbage. So we have to keep switching. And Mainu, when he came on against Fulham, it wasn't a surprise. Oh, my God. If you play Mainu closer to goal, he's a better player. Someone's saying Mainu's not a number 10. Mainu is not somebody, I don't think, who will ever really truly thrive and maximise his potential as part of a double pivot. Mainu's best qualities come when he can get the ball in these areas. If you were to draw a box between the edge of the box, in fact, it probably can. One sec. If you were to draw that box there, that's where I want Kobbie Mainoo to have the ball. All right? That's where I want him to have the ball. I don't want Kobbie Mainoo to have the ball there. I want Kobbie Mainoo to be threatening the opposition and having the ball there. And that's why I don't think it's guaranteed that that's his role, but I'd like to see the opportunity for him to play there. That's actually where he played far more for the youth teams, by the way. Now let's go and check out the result. What's your predictions? Predictions. Prediction is FCSB win. Draw. United win. There's your three options. That was actually quite fun doing that live. When content's so busy on this channel, I'll bring the starting 11 into the live show on the mornings of games, like this week. Because when it comes to like fan channel content, like preview content is always something that you do, but sometimes there are bigger conversations that need to be had, and there's no space for it. That's why I think we can fit it in the live show. But that there is a starting 11. I wouldn't be too upset about that at all. Binder in goal, Maguire, Martinez, and Yoro, with Matasia and Ahmad as the wingbacks. Bruno and Collier as the two midfielders, Ugarte getting a rest, with Mainoo and Garnacho behind Xerxes. That would be a lot of changes. How many changes is that? 1, 2. Ahmad started last game. 3, 4, 5, 6. Amorim does make somewhere between like 4 and 6 changes per game. Let's find out. Let me check the poll out again. That's the wrong one. That's Bruno. That's the game there. Langaroon is saying, I'm as confident as ever, which is to say not very. Now, my prediction for the game, I'm going for a 3-1 United win. So everyone go in there, get your bets on, because I'm not guaranteed to be right. I know this is like, yeah, all right, Sam. I genuinely was half and half last week between choosing 1-0 for United and 2-1. I went for 2-1. Of course, it didn't happen. So you don't need to believe me. But I'm going to go for a 3-1 win tonight. And I think that's quite an exciting team. I think Collier his first start came against Rangers for United. So maybe he's going to continue it. It depends on how much Amorim is going to have an eye on the Palace game. If I'm being totally honest, this game is way more important for United than beating Crystal Palace at the weekend. Which sounds like a strange thing to say, considering we're already likely through. But getting through and avoiding those extra knockout rounds frees up our whole February. And Amorim will be desperate for that. I think he'll see that as more important than 3 points in a league where we're going to go from 12th to 10th. And if we lose, we're going to go from 12th to 14th. Yeah, we'll find out. I'm going for a 3-1 win. I'm going to check the poll results. And 500 who voted. Big up to everyone. 87%. Big slapping it on the table there. 87% of you are saying a United win. We've got William going for a 1-0 United. So is Ryan. 3-1 says Death Time. Great name. 2-1 says Rex. 4-2 says Andrew. Oh, I mean, that would be good, but I prefer a nice little cheeky 3-0. 3-1 to United says Eric. We'll find out. I like that. I think that's a pretty cool formation we've made there. I think it's realistic as well. Garnacho's been starting these last couple of games. He's been a direct threat. He may not yet be sort of having the final product, but at a time when he's been questioned, he's actually playing quite well. Someone down there saying, why is Dorgu in yellow? Well, we've not signed him yet, mate. Shaw and Mount are in black because they're injured, and Dorgu, we've not signed him yet. So at some point, he'll turn red, hopefully, for the... Who do we play next week? Leicester game on Friday. I think that's what we'll make his debut for. That was a jam-packed show. Bang on an hour. Right, ladies and gents, let me make sure I've not missed any news before we... No, we're not. Mathys Tel feels like the attacking sign if we're going to make one. But in the meantime, we've got FCSB tonight. My Patrick Dorgu profile video will be out at lunchtime. Please do watch that. Lots of work goes into these videos, and it's like the higher quality one. Then I'll be back here at 8 o'clock for the game tonight. Well, Not here on the channel. I'll be here with my match reaction after. Have a cracking day. And I will see you later on. Because it's busy.